Welcome to this week's episode of This Thing Called Podcast. As you know, and if you don't, I'm your host, KJ, and let's go ahead and get into this week's episode. First, of course, we got our last two Black history facts, so let's get into it. After graduating from Oberlin College in 1850 with a literary degree, Lucy Stanton became the first Black woman in America to earn a 4-year college degree. And then number 2, first published in 1936, Negro Motorist Green Book was a comprehensive guide for Black travelers about locations across America and eventually overseas that were either Black owned or didn't engage in segregationist practices. The guide was printed for 30 years. It stopped publication in 1966, 2 years after the Civil Rights Act was passed. So, shout out again to all of our Black inventors, our Black entrepreneurs, Black excellence, authors, writers, musicians, CEOs, lawyers, doctors, inventors. Shout out. Black people, we are awesome. Everyone's awesome, but Black people, we are especially awesome. So please remember that. We come from greatness. We have greatness in our blood, and whatever you put your mind to, you can do it. Okay, you guys, so we're going to go ahead and just jump right into the topic. So last week I started on talking about sex and just different basics, information, advice, things to be told about sex and relationships, you know, what sex is for, what sex can do, things like that. If you haven't already heard it, go back, watch last week's episode. You guys, we've been doing this for 17 weeks. This is the 17th episode. So it's so crazy, but go back and watch last week's episode and let me know what you think. But this week, we're just going to go ahead and keep going, diving more into the topic of sex. It's going to be like a little sex series I'm starting here. So this week, we're going to talk about the benefits of sex. So sex have actually a lot of benefits, health-wise, physically, hormone, mentally. Sex actually does a lot. It's more than just the pleasure that you get from sex. Is more than just the intimacy and the bond and the attraction that you can create with sex, as we talked about last week. Sex does have some really great benefits. To name a few, it helps ease the stress. So I think that's one thing that we all know. You super stressed out. Sex can be a good distraction. Sex can be a good way to get some of those good hormones, those happy, free loving hormones into your body. It boosts mood. So, I mean, if sex is done right, we all know you should come out of that bedroom or that session or that bathroom or living room, kitchen, wherever you at. You should come and walk away and be in a very much more better, happier, upbeat tempo mood than when you walked in. Okay. And if you're not, check something. Something ain't right between the sex, the partner. Something ain't right in that situation. It can improve sleep. So my motto is, if it's done right, everybody gonna go to sleep afterwards. Men, women, if it's done right and you do your job, everybody needs a nap. So for sure, I know personally with me, if I'm not sleepy and trying to take a nap, or lethargic at least after the fact, trying to chill, you ain't doing it right. You ain't hit that spot. You ain't hit KJ spot. That's all I gotta say. It does help boost your immune system. So again, there are other health benefits that sex does have. And with all of the different hormones and all of the different things that sex does engage with within your body that you might not even think it does, it will help boost your immune system to where you can fight off diseases, illnesses, things of that sort. In men, it helps decrease the risk of prostate cancer. So the more sex a male has, the less likely he is to have prostate cancer. Now we're going to pause here. That does not negate you from going to the doctor and getting your checkups as you should to make sure, because sex does not eliminate it and it does not stop it, but it can help decrease it. It does improve heart health on both men and women. So because you are using your heart, because sex is like exercise. I look at sex as a form of exercise. Again, I'm gonna keep saying it, especially when it's done correctly. If you're putting the right attention and energy and just care into it, if it's done right, you're going to put some energy into it. You're going to be getting that pressure up. You're going to be getting your heart rate up, things like that, which helps increase your heart rate. It does, of course, we talked about last week, it helps increase intimacy. It does help with a couple having sex, bringing that couple together, rejuvenating intimacy, keeping the intimacy and the bond going, because it does help. So couples, I get life happens, things happen where sex may not be a priority. I get sex is not everything in a relationship, and it should not be. However, don't forget to have sex, because it does keep that attraction and that intimacy and that bond going between you two. But that is not the only thing either. There are other things that can get that intimacy sparking. It helps boost cognition. So again, there are things that sex does that helps boost the brain power within you. So when it comes to that, you think clearer, you have an open mind, you're able to even be able to, figure out things and process things. Sometimes if you cut your brain off, do something else, and then come back to your problem, there's your resolve. And then it does eliminate pain. Again, there are several hormones that are released during that time to where if you notice, it will help you at the end when you're done. You won't notice that you're in so much pain. There are, again, different hormones that are released that help actually block your pain receptors during that time. So you will notice that you're in less pain than before. Eating something as simple as a headache, it can help alleviate a headache. So again, lots of benefits. It's not an end all be all, but there are good things that comes from sex. So again, we're not using this as this is the only thing. We still have doctors. We still have medical checks. There are still things that you need to do to make sure your health is at the peak and where it should be. But I'm just going to give you, Kate is going to give you one more thing to help you with that health, to help you boost those hormones. And it's something natural. Again, it's something that naturally happens that everybody wants, regardless of your sex preference, your gender preference, your partner's preference, all of that. We all want sex. So at the end of the day, it is something that, for the most part, I want to say we all want. So it's a benefit. It could be a benefit in multiple ways and not just pleasure. So that's going to be the end of this episode. Next week, check me out. I'm going to talk about different sex trends for this new year. We're just in February, you guys. So I'm going to give you a couple of sex trends that can maybe help in that area, or things that you can think about and look into to maybe even make it better for you. Because I believe even though it can be great, we can always get better. Thank you guys for checking out this week's episode of This Thing Called Podcast. Like, follow, subscribe, keep doing y'all. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the love. Again, tell a friend about this. That is your goal. We are telling people about This Thing Called Podcast to get everybody on board, because it's a movement, y'all. And you got to hop on the bandwagon now so you can say you were at the movement at the beginning. Have a good week. See you guys next week. We're out.